What's going on YouTube? What's going on guys? Welcome to GotMB channel for another unboxing video. And today's fourth episode on building my first computer. It's all about the power. To be specific, it's the Corsair RM650 power supply. This is the very first component that I purchased, and the good thing is that it's pretty much available everywhere. And on today's episode, just like the previous one, it is all about the unboxing and all the contents that comes with the box. You'll get to see what are the cables included and how to connect each of them to the proper ports or sockets in your motherboard. And of course, you'll get to see the power supply itself, how it looks like, and most importantly, how many ports or interfaces are there that you can use. So stick around and don't click anywhere because we're about to begin. First off is, not all power supplies are created equal. There are different levels of wattage each power supply produces. For example, this power supply can output up to 650 watts, hence the name RM650. But the question that pops to mind is, how do you actually determine how much power or wattage you require? Do you want to leave a room for future component upgrades that requires higher consumption, or you see yourself just sticking to the current setup that you initially set out to be? To answer that, there are websites that can help determine how much power each of your PC components require, down to the very specifics like choosing the exact model of your graphics card, how many hard disks are you going to install, or even how many monitors you intend to connect. So these websites, which I'll link in the description, help me a lot in deciding the type of power supply that I needed. You should check them out if you haven't already. Secondly, this is a fully modular power supply, meaning that the cables are separately connected, unlike modular or semi-modular, where all the cables or some of them are permanently connected to the power supply. Although fully modular power supplies are generally much more expensive, the main advantage is they are easier to install and cable manage. Here are the contents of the power supply. You have two 8-pin CPU cable, you also have two 8-pin or 6+2 PCI cable that connects to your graphics card. Another two SATA cable with 3 SATA right angle connector. You have one 4-pin peripheral cable. You also have one 24-pin ATX power cable that powers the motherboard. You have one cable that connects to your wall socket, a set of cable ties, and 4 Phillips screws to tighten everything in place. Now let's connect them to the power supply. Connect the 24-pin cable on the port that is labeled 24-pin ATX. You can easily tell which cable it is since it's the thickest of all the cables. Next up is the 8-pin CPU cable. You can never go wrong because it has a CPU label on it. Next is to connect the PCIe cable on the port just beside the CPU cable, as you can see here. Make sure to connect the 8-pin side of the cable and not the 6+2. The other side of the PCI cable most of the time connects to a graphics card. So if you have a graphics card that requires more than one PCI cable, there is a spare PCIe port which you can use. Okay, grab the SATA cable and connect it to the port where it's labeled peripheral and SATA. You can use this SATA cable to power up your SSDs or devices that requires SATA power connection. Lastly, connect the peripheral cable on the port that is labeled peripheral. Alrighty, so that's pretty much how the cables are connected to your power supply. And as a word of caution, since we're dealing with electricity, make sure to hear a clicking sound every time you connect them, as it signifies that you have properly connected the cable in place. That's about it for today's episode, guys, and remember, if you are not sure on how to operate this device, please read the manual, or better yet, consult a professional on how to deal with this kind of stuff. As always, you guys have a wonderful day ahead. Do click on the subscribe button so you won't miss any of my future content, and before you head over to the next video, please leave a thumbs up if you can. Thanks for watching. Goodbye!